What's up, kind people of YouTube? My name is Ahmed and welcome back to yet another video. Today I'm discussing with you a TV show called Shadow and Bone. Now, I've been meaning to make a review of Shadow and Bone ever since season 1 came out, and I've read the books. It's one of the better book series that I've read, and I wanted to watch the TV show and see how different it was. There are so many differences, yet so many similarities. Makes me wonder what it could have been if they just followed the books. One of the better adaptations that I've seen in the last few months, because we all know Amazon tried to do a few adaptations and they failed miserably at it, but Netflix somehow does it really well. Of course, the story is very intriguing on its own. It's about a bunch of witches and the war between the witches that they have and how it affects the people. It talks about a lot of other themes like oppression of the people who are different from us, how a wall is never a solution to the problem, it creates more problems. Take notes, man, take notes. Some people in some countries should be taking notes on not to make a wall. It's about two people on the opposite ends of the spectrum in the thought process. It's about using the powers that these two people have. Both of them are Grisha. Grisha are basically witches in the universe. One is not using it in the way that betters the people around them. The other one wants to, but just recently found out that she has these powers, so she can't really control them. And now that I've set a decent premise as to what Shadow and Bone is, at least according to me, let's move on into why the show is so interesting to watch, how visually stunning the show is. I mean, if you look at it, it's one of those typical Netflix shows that come out where each of the shots is beautiful. You're looking at how the characters are placed, the set design is really good, the costume design is really good, it's visually really appealing to watch, and that makes the show that much easier to watch because you're looking at nicer images in comparison. Even the long takes are very nice. The CGI is under budget. Like, you kind of feel that in moments the CGI does not stand out as much as it should. It does the job really well overall and makes the show understandably good. Even though the CGI is not as great as it could have been, one of the biggest factors for the show working is how well choreographed the action sequences are. Like, if you look at the fight scenes and how they're doing the fight scenes, it's very well choreographed. One of the reasons why it's so well choreographed is because it's a lot of dependency on CGI and they don't want to leave a lot to do post. That makes the show interesting to watch because when you don't leave a lot of things to be done in post, you actually achieve what the story is set out to be. The characters are so well developed and likable. At least for me, the characters have time to grow, even though it gets slightly convoluted in season 1 where it's going between 3 different stories that are being told, which finally converges towards the end of season 1, and in season 2 it's going between 3 different stories that are being told, and eventually it concludes at the end of it. The time that it has been given to grow, if the characters did not have that much time to grow, I don't think the story would have had the kind of impact that it did. Amongst all of them, I think my favorite character hands down has to be Brekker and how he deals with a lot of his problems. There are a lot of powerful characters and there are a lot of strong characters for both good and bad, but what makes Brekker so interesting is the way that he's able to actually stand his ground against people that are probably 4 times stronger than him, 5 times stronger than him, while having a really classy cane. Okay, I love his cane and it's one of the most distinguishing factors of his characters, and biggest thing that keeps you at the show is how engaging the story is. You always want to know more, you want to see the next episode, and towards the end of season 2 I didn't want to finish watching the season because I knew I wouldn't have another episode to watch, but at the same time I wanted to see what happens next. There have been a lot of bang average TV shows that have come out that I've seen on Netflix, but this is ones that I can recommend highly because of how engaging the story is. Yes, there are a couple of drawbacks that I want to talk about. Like, there are a lot of cliches in the show. You kind of understand why good versus evil, the good character is emanating white and the bad character is emanating black, and cliched, done and dusted 100 times, but it does not ruin your experience of the show, and it makes it a little more interesting. And the second thing that I felt is a little convoluted, and it spends a lot of times juggling between different storylines before it comes all together. And trust me, it's worth it. But I do feel that the characters felt a little confusing. It took me a while before I started recognizing the characters from the books in the TV show. In the books, the characters are very clear cut right from the beginning, and it's easy to go between characters when you're writing them. It's not very easy to go between characters when you're watching a TV show because you're visually attached to them, and that kind of makes it a little convoluted. Overall, it's a good experience watching the TV show, and I can recommend it. I hope you enjoyed this review. Here is a link of a couple of other videos that I've done recently. Peace, and I will see you in the next one really soon.